Hi and welcome. I apologize for my voice today. I still have a cold, so I might sound a little nasally. But I'm making a layered tag today, and I've cut all these shapes out of my Cricut on Bristol smooth paper. I've got a tag and two squares, and I'm gonna start with the squares. And the thicker square, I am gonna apply some distress ink in the color mustard seed, and adding a little paper there so I don't get fingerprints on it. And I really am not sure where I'm going today. I'm just kind of starting, and we'll see where it ends up. And I have some StazOn ink in the color cherry, or maybe it's cherry pink. I know it's got cherry in the name. And I'm using a grid stamp I have. I think that's from Rubber Dance. And then I'm adding some, I think this is gathered twigs. Again, I just kind of seeing where it goes. And I'm gonna go around all the edges inside and out with some vintage photo. And I might have to come back with scorched timber because that's pretty dark. And now I'm gonna stamp on it, and I'm using a text stamp, and let's see, I think this is like document or something. I'll have it listed down in the notes description. But I'm using Archival Ink in potting soil. And for the smaller square, I'm gonna give it a base coat of antique linen. And I have another stamp, and I think I just purchased this off of Amazon. And I'm going to go around the edges with vintage photo. And for the tag, I picked out a jelly print, and the jelly print was made with distress inks. Looks like vintage photo and maybe rusty hinge, um, and a stencil. And so I'm just gluing my tag to the back of the jelly print, and then I'm just gonna cut it out. So my jelly print is on the tag, and I'm adding some vintage photo to the edges. And I found these, um, one's a bird, one's a insect of some sort, and they're from the Transparent Things package from Tim Holtz. And so I thought that would make a good backdrop for these squares. And this one just needs a little trimming. And I covered up my hole in my tag, so I'm just going to repunch that with a single hole punch that I have. And I want something else on the background of that tag. I had thought about those leaves there, but it just didn't work out. So I grabbed this stamp. This is from, let's see, Obscure, I think. Actually has some, like a skull and things on it, but it has this really nice floral, botanical. And so I'm using some Versamark and gonna stamp that on, and that's going to leave image there that I can then add some embossing powder to. And I'm saying embossing powder because I'm not using the glaze because I wanted it gold. And I don't think, I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't think there is an embossing glaze that's gold. Because I really want it to be like a metallic gold. And while it looks pretty dark here, it gets to be a real nice shiny gold. So I get my heat tool out and emboss that. And see how shiny that is? It's gorgeous. I did get that from Ranger ink or Ranger, but it just isn't. It's not a Tim Holtz product. I can't even remember who it is. So I'm going to glue on my squares or frames. I should call them frames because they're hollow in the middle, so they are frames. Just being careful that it adhered because there's a lot of embossed area there, so just want to make sure it adheres well. And this one I'm just going to overlap the one on the bottom just a tad. And I have this butterfly. I had a calendar and it had these butterflies on it. And so before throwing out the calendar, I grabbed all these butterflies, and this one's been glued to cardstock, I think, or maybe it was already on cardstock. I've had them for a while. And so I thought it would be perfect for the colors I've got going on there. And I'm also going to add a sticker from my vintage sticker packet I've got there. It's not going to be that one, but I do find one. And that one's already cut out. And so I'm just going to glue it on to the tag. Just tucking it in behind there. Just gets a little more visual something. And I don't do the entire leaf down, just so that it doesn't look like it's plastered flat. And I'm going to add a sentiment. This is from, well, what is the name of that one? Let me look here. Always forget this one. It's the Clippings sticker book, and it is a sticker, but I always adding glue just to make sure that it stays down good. And I did just add some vintage photo to the edges to give it a little bit of darkness around the edge. And I decided I want to add a eyelet right in the bottom right corner of the bottom square frame. And so I did that, and I'm setting it right now. And I have these little loop hangers. Not sure if that's the exact term for it, but and I'm going to hang this little charm in the shape of a heart. It's kind of like kind of amberish in color. And so I'm hanging that from it. And the last thing I'm doing is adding some ribbon to the top. And this is seam binding, and it accepts the ink really well. I bought it off Amazon, and so I just cut a couple little pieces of it, enough so that I can fold it and it still has some on top. I don't like my ribbons to be real long. And so I'm adding some, let's see, I think that's marigold. What is that? Seedless marigold? Spiced marigold. I think that's what it's called. And some salvaged patina. Spice marmalade, not marigold. Spice marmalade. And I'm going to add that to the top of my tag. You'll see final pictures coming up. And if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free. But y'all have a great day.